the other little bits. Oh, there's Nicola Bulley's death. Sorry, he did say something. Sorry, he did.
So this girl, Nicola, was
Good
found.
shout.
Was it 25?
Sorry, I didn't spot that. I just assumed he hadn't been involved. I didn't remember him being a part of the story, but
days after she went in, the River Wire is tidal when you go, I think, towards Fleetwood, Blackpool, that area. I think that's where it goes into the sea.
I don't like where he's looking with his eyes in terms of honesty, but I'm not getting a good view of the room, what he's looking at around him. I don't know if this has been flipped. I can't tell because the logo on his shirt should tell me, but I can't tell. Or the microphone or something. The image I don't think has been flipped, but I'm just,
North Lancashire.
But then he's describing things that he should not have any knowledge or memory of, so maybe he shouldn't be looking into his memory, really.
I don't know it, but the pictures, it doesn't look like a particularly big river. It looks fast flowing. The time of year, there's a lot of water. And we had a lot of water and rain. And
although
it was cold,
when he said that, he was
cold.
looking into memory. The time of year there was a lot of water, and we had a lot of water and rain. Had we? Like, that worried me.
Partly, so that body may well have been kept down, but I don't think it's that deep. So I think you'd struggle.
Struggle.
Have that body underwater for a long time there. It was found a mile away. Again, I've not got much comment on that because I don't know the river, and it's a lot of meanders in it. Would it have made a mile? I'm not sure. It's a long way, a mile, by the look of it, where she's gone in. She might have, from what we've been told, again, you only go on what you've been told. She was taking, she was depressed and a heavy alcohol user.
He said she was taken, like she was taking is what but it might be his accent. But I don't like the fact that he said she was taken, like, and we can only go on what we've been told, implies that you might know something that you shouldn't say. Like, I can only say what I'm supposed to say that is in the public sphere, so let me get this right. We can only go on what we've been told. Or did he mean, like, I can't start making stuff up, but she was taking antidepressants, you're going to go on to say? So he's leaning on that, despite, this is after, obviously. This was 9 months ago. This was April 26th. But at the time, like, I know he's been, like, the thing is that's weird about this is that Jon's been criticised heavily in the past for using the phrase child peas, because children can't be, they can't be I'm saying this stupid, like child prostitutes, because children can't be prostitutes because they can't consent. So, like, but he's been criticised and he's gone, oh, well, that's a police term, so I just use it. So it would seem weird to be on the wrong side of, like, victim blaming Nicola here after there was a big conflagration about it in the news. You would think he'd be careful enough to say, not say the wrong thing here because it overlaps with the other wrong things he says.
The river, and it's a lot of meanders in it. Would it have made a mile? I'm not sure. It's a long way, a mile, by the look of it, where she's gone in. She might have, from what we've been told, again, you only go on what you've been told. She was taking, she was depressed and a heavy alcohol user. Maybe she's tried to kill herself, taking tablets or something, and gone into the water and off she's gone for a swim, and it's overcome her, and which may have been her attention. I don't know. She might have swum.
What do you think, though? What's your gut instinct on her?
Well, the weird stuff about that is, why did the cadaver dogs not pick it up? Because they're incredibly sensitive animals. I mean, I think they're brilliant. The canine support units the police have got, and their noses are good. I mean, I knew a dog could pick up the scent of cannabis nearly 100 metres away. Not smoked cannabis, stored cannabis. It was that good. So a rotting corpse is going to stink. It is going to stink. A waterborne one as well. It's going to be minging. She was found in reeds, so it wasn't really in the water. How did she get in them reeds for a start? I don't know. I mean, did the river flood that high that allowed for that? Again, we've not been given that sort of information, so we don't know, right? But a mile away from where she's alleged.
Actually, that's the sort of information you could find out.
Gone in. Yes, she would have gone downriver because it was non-tidal. So
but he said we're not given that sort of information, so you don't know.
would have taken her that way.
Making me think sometimes on jobs you get given certain levels of information and you just do the thing and you don't ask the questions about the other information.
What happened? I don't know. I really don't know.
I hope he's got an alibi.
It's difficult. It seems odd that she was in the reads.
What's the official story? Like, what's the official account? What do you think? What are they telling us?
I think it looks like they're airing on suicide.
Yeah.
But then there's things that the husband was into acting and her best friend was in the same acting agency or something. So there's that acting.
I didn't know. That's a bit of a weird one. See, what's he heard and where? Like, into acting, and she was in the same acting agency. The best friend, does he mean Emma? Like, I heard some, I don't listen to a lot of conspiracy theory, do I? I won't countenance things that someone said, someone saw on Facebook that someone's friend said. But this is something I need to know now. Were Paul Ansell and one of Nicola's friends in the same acting agency? And are you trying to suggest psyops through this? Is that what you're trying to do? And he wasn't her husband, he was a partner.
Sort of connection, but the one thing that really sticks in my throat about this.
So he just dropped that in and didn't, he just dropped it in and then moved on. He didn't elaborate and say what he fucking meant. Why is that interesting? And then we have to go on and then pull the thread, and it like sows the seeds of confusion in the audience. That's what I think he's about.
Was that the police brought in a contractor, right, called Peter Faulding.
Interesting. I'll tell you who would... Oh, there you are in chat, look. Kelly. I'll tell you who would be interested in this. Kelly. Peter Faulding's name has just come up. And he described him as a contractor. Because bear in mind, Jon Wedger's former police, isn't he? So I wonder which side of the Peter Faulding debate he falls on.
The police brought in a contractor, right, called Peter Faulding.
I'm just going to turn him up a little bit with the filter.
I've had, look, not a lot, bits of communication with Peter.
Oh. I've had a lot of, not a lot of, bits of communication with Peter. Why on earth have you had any communication with Peter at all? Your lives are separate and not connected. And it's April, and it's 2023. This was recorded April 2023. So January, February, March. It's only just after the Nicola Bulley search. It's not that long after. You're saying this stuff here as if you're basically ignorant of anything other than what's in the news. We can only tell you what's public. So what have you got behind the scenes going on? Why would you have anything to do with Peter? And if you did have anything to do with Peter, surely this is the moment where you'd want to be talking to him and keeping in contact, because he's just been on the tellis and all this has happened. So even if you're not anything to do with anything dark, just been on the tellis. But not lots of communication. You don't want to make it seem like you're big friends. But even some is weird. I'll listen to what he said. Everyone hates it when I pause it too much. But because I'm going to actually pick off Alan now. I'm going to steal what I fucking want off Alan. Apparently Richard Fife said that the man in black had a moon face or a round face. A round face. I've not seen that. I've not seen that piece of thing as a fact, not in my memory. But if it's true, I'd said as a joke, well, it could be Jon Wedger then, couldn't it? Because he's Peter Faulding's mate and he's got a round face. But some ex-service people who are prepared to do stuff for a buck, who don't mind getting in the river, just described struggle, in the river. I don't, Yeah, I'm not. It'd be fucking stupid and weird, wouldn't it? I keep saying how it'd be like something off the telly or a film if we watched it on the internet and then we, put the things. Oh my god! And the internet people got it, but it just seems fucking weird to me. I would love it if Jon, not in a good way, because it's sad that Nicola's dead, yeah. But if Jon Wedger was connected and we absolutely found evidence and, do you know what I mean, and stuff like that, it'd be like, what a story. All the people on the internet, and all this, and it was because of Peter Faulding's involvement and him getting drunk on whiskey and spilling the beans and, and all this. It'd be what a story.
telling us it
I
happened.
think it looks like they're airing.
So maybe I'm a bit of a fantasist for, you know, in my heart of hearts, wishing that he's about to slip up and reveal that he's connected to Peter Faulding, and then it's going to be, you know, key to instrumental to unlocking aspects of the case, and that he could have even been the man in black himself. Well, you don't know, do you? Like, I do worry about Peter Faulding having a team of ex-service people, former SAS, and what he was saying about some of the former SAS and ex-service people from that other documentary that, you know, the interview he was doing. That was weird, wasn't it? You know, the one he was with Luke, even he was saying about ex-powers and stuff, and childhood. Anyway,
suicide.
Yeah.
But then there's things that the husband was into
It's
acting.
midnight.
And her best friend.
It's midnight. It's always midnight. And so why this acting thing as well? That's fucking weird to throw this in as well. That annoys me.
Was in the same acting agency or something, so there's all that acting sort of connection. But the one thing that really sticks in my throat about this was that the police brought in a contractor, right, called Peter Faulding. I've had not a lot, bits of communication with Peter, because I was setting up a group of professionals to look for missing people, and Peter was put my way, and there has been a little bit of audit trail between me and Peter in the past. Nothing big, but at some point I was hoping to link in with him. Not now, I'm not really interested because I moved away from all that stuff now, but back then, about 2 years ago, yeah, there was, you know, I knew a lot of people he knew, and I knew a guy that worked on his team, and these are a lot of them ex-professionals. He's got a lot of ex-military, a lot of ex-police that work for him, specialists, and he set himself up with this incredible network and very well facilitated. So he had helicopters.
Sorry, I have to pause that. When he said network, I thought that's a word, and he went and for incredibly facilitated. He stuttered over the neck, like he knew what he'd said. Network, that's a crime word. Like, just
specialist, and he set himself up with this incredible network and very well facilitated. So he had helicopter, he had dive teams, he had rib boats, he had everything. He was kitted out, ready to go. There's another guy I know.
Helicopter, rib boats, dive team. Like, you could use that for any other sort of, like, obviously murder Nicola Bulley, that's not what I'm suggesting here, but I'm saying like you could, like, you know, they could throw the drugs off the side of a boat or drop it off a plane. They don't even have to land the plane. You can go out with your helicopter, with your dive team, with your sonar, and you can just fish those drugs out of the water, like out wherever, the sea, or, you know, can't you? Like
I'm not going to name him because I've not got his permission, but he's set himself up as the number one expert for sniffer dogs, and has done
there's another one now, a different one that's sniffer dogs based.
a lot of good work for the Moors murders and all sorts of things, and especially in Northern Ireland, he's found an incredible amount of bodies. I think there's something like 50 bodies went missing, and he found 49 of them.
Again, like, there's this huge problem. If you're a private company that's drafted into finding dead bodies and you've got 100% hit rate, you might want to question if you're providing the fucking dead, like, oh no, don't be silly, no one to go murdering. Well, not unless you were paying them. Like,
Police never, he did, and he's an expert, and he's
I'll get back to what he said about Peter. I'm going to rewind that, but I just want to see until he gets off it, so I can
stuff
go
with me
back
in the
over
past.
it.
This guy's a really lovely guy, and he did stuff with Peter. So between the two of them,
Oh, and the dog man went with Peter as well. It's funny because Peter was asked about dogs once. Luke asked him about it in the interview, and Peter said, "No, I don't do dogs, but I've got a friend," and like, he made like maybe a little snigger or a little laugh. He said, "You know, I've got a good friend who knows all about dogs, but no, we don't do dogs." So he knew what he was saying, Peter did, but he, you know, didn't open up. But this is what he meant, is he's actually got a good friend who does a very similar business, and it's the guide dogs. It's the dogs equivalent of what Peter's doing.
they're pretty much cornering the market on this.
Cornering the market. That's interesting language, isn't it? Because that's what we're talking about, this private company's business. It's a market now, cornering the market, pretty much cornering the market, like a mafia sort of move. That's exactly what Peter's up to, like cornering markets.
And of course, they can't be silenced, right? Whereas the police, as I know, if you're going somewhere you shouldn't go, you know, the old boy network will come in and say, you're not doing it. Senior officers will shut you up. And if they don't shut you up, they'll fuck you up, right? But they can't do that to Peter Faulding, and they can't do it to these other people. So they bring Peter Faulding in, and he does make a bold comment, she's not in the water. Now, that's based on what he's been told and what he knows.
What he's been told and what he knows.
So, is he right or is he wrong in saying that? Well, he was justified in saying it because, you know, that's his experience and that's the information he's given. And let's not forget, it's a police's job. It's Lancashire Police's job, not his job. It's their screw up, not his.
So obviously, they've not talked about the sonar, but they've talked about, you know, she's been discovered at this point.
But when it all went wrong and they did find the body in the river, albeit in the reeded area.
When it all went wrong and they did find the body, that's interesting. That's really interesting. When it all went wrong and they did find... I'd have thought that was a moment where it went right because they found her. It's good, you know, we've found her. But when it all went wrong and we found her...
Right? So he's right in saying it's not in the river because literally it's not, but technically it probably is. He gets a blame and he gets attacked so massively, this guy. He is being attacked by the press, by these TV talk shows, and they're mullering him. He's getting boom, 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 boom.
He wasn't at this stage, I don't think, in April. I don't think Peter Faulding, until the COP report, really came under heavy fire.
Boom, boom. And I said to my mate, they're doing a hatchet job on him. This seems like he's been set up. And it had a horrible vibe to it, what they were doing to this...
He's getting too good at his job, basically.
Yeah. And he's not accountable to the system. He's independent.
Well, he should be accountable to the system, shouldn't he?
And I said they're going to screw him. They're going to F him up. And the next week it came out in the press. Peter Faulding has been removed from the specialist search register. And I thought, there you go. They
can't have it. They can't have someone getting...
And now they're having an anti-police sort of chat, aren't they? But it's interesting that he said, what about the Nicola Bulley case? And he himself talked it round to sort of a defence of Peter Faulding, who is cornering the market. Let's go back to listening to this other thing he says about him.
What's in my throat about this was that the police brought in a contractor, right, called Peter Faulding.
So first of all, he says the police brought in a contractor, and there's a pause. He knows exactly who it is, right? And we're doing body language now. I'm waking up a little bit to this, but I might have to stop when my sister comes on. Right.
The police brought in a contractor, right, called Peter Faulding.
Called, should I say this? Peter Faulding, right? I'm talking about this now. Like, he thought before he said it, do I say that I know this guy called... The police brought in a contractor to search the river, some guy, Peter Faulding, he making conscious decisions about how much and what to say.
I've had, not a lot, bits of communication with Peter.
I've had not a lot of bits of communication with Peter, and he's waving the hand. I think he does mean communication back and forth. I don't know if he means sit down chats or whatever, but he's done this with his hand, meaning back and forth in, it makes me think more like a conversation, like a verbal conversation, but
because I was setting up,
and now he starts to panic a little bit. Why did I have?
Well, not a lot, bits of communication with.
I've had bits of communication with Peter, he thinks, and then like the policeman in him thinks the next question that I would ask, is why have you had that? And then he's going to give you the alibi straight off, isn't he? He's not going to be stupid enough to just say it and leave it there, maybe.
So I was setting up.
There's a little bit of gulp there, dry mouth, and he's looking up now and thinking hard into, I don't know what part of his memory, but it is into something. Is he into his memory? I don't know, but. It feels like he's giving us an excuse or a reason to have known Peter. Maybe because he was trying to claim clout. Maybe it's just simply clout. He was trying to attach himself. Oh, I know, I've heard of Peter, me and Peter. And then he's thinking, well, I don't really know him that well, so maybe I'd better come clean here a bit. But I don't know.
Professionals to look for missing people.
But apparently he was putting together a team of professionals to look for missing people. I don't remember this.
And Peter was put my way, and
Peter was put my way.
Been a little bit of audit trouble.
And there has been a little bit of audit What?
Peter was put my way, and there has been a little bit of audit trouble between me and Peter in the past.
A little bit of audit I don't know what even that is. There a real word that's audit Audit. How would you spell it? Auditory. The sense of hearing, yeah, auditory, but it's not even a real word, is it? So, audit trail, interesting.
Pete was put my way, and
It's what he said though was I was putting together a team of people to find missing people.
bits of communication with Peter, because I was setting up,
and that gets a pause, and now he does this, which is like a face of I'm going to say something that's going to sound good. And like, to me, it's like I could be setting up a burger van and I'm about to tell you that, but instead I'm going to put on this face and say I'm setting up a mobile catering unit. You know, make it sound good, yeah?
a group of professionals.
But the little stare came into it. Like, he went from like, I'm about to sound cool and confident like the Fonz with the little eyebrows raised up. And then stare. Like, and he does stare a lot, but it's like panic, isn't it? I don't get a good vibe from what he's saying here at all. Like, body language read on that is, I think, like, there's the panic, the fear, and there's the I'm going to act cool, but he can't make, like, he doesn't, he's like, I'm going to act cool, but he doesn't maintain it. He inside his actual panic and fear comes through a bit more.
Professionals to look for
a group of professionals
with Peter, because I was setting up a group of professionals to look for missing people.
Actually, didn't stutter then, did he?
Peter, because I was setting up a group of professionals to look.
A group of professionals.
Communication with Peter, because I was setting up a group of professionals to look for missing people.
To look for missing people. You weren't setting up a group of people to go out and kidnap kids or nothing, yeah? Like, find the missing people. You know, did he ever set up a group of professionals 2 years ago to find missing people? Is that what he did?
Because I was setting up a group of professionals to look for missing people.
Yeah, he's swallowing a lot. I think what's happened is he said slightly too much, and now he's thinking on his feet and talking himself into, not a corner, you know, out of it, not even out of a situation that's overt. Like, no one knows he's in a situation here. Like, it's not even a situation. He just said that he'd spoken to Peter Faulding in the past. So what? You know, no deal. But to him, it's nerves. It's like, and then and it was because I was, you know, and it's this, let's keep talking and making sure it's okay in what I say. And at the same time as he's saying it, he's thinking carefully about what he's saying, you know. Jon Wedger, out of all of them that I've reacted to, out of all of them as well, is the most intelligent in terms of thinking on his feet while he's talking. So I don't think I'm going to catch him. Like, he might drop something like that, just that you think is that we think is innocuous, like a mention of Peter Faulding, and the rest of it, he's probably not going to talk himself into a big trap here, but like, 'cause he's smart about it. But it's the smarts that's leading, like, that's like a normal person wouldn't be smart enough to realise why what he'd said. Like, if you're innocent and you've not done anything wrong, and you just say, oh, you know, I spoke to Peter Faulding once, you don't think to try and justify it, because it's nothing. But he's smart enough to realise that the detectives out there, and his detective mind and his training and all that, has said, yeah, well, the next question that's going to come to you here is, why did you know Peter? How did you know Peter? And now he's going to justify it out so it doesn't come. It feels like, yeah, like he's thinking on his feet, and he doesn't have to be saying these things, but we don't know what's going on in his head, but I think going on in his head is some element of panic about what he's saying. Like, yeah.
Because I was setting up a group of professionals to look for missing people.
A group of professionals to look for missing people. And like, did he actually do that? And was he? And could that be, like, a group of professionals that are there to look for missing people could be a very nice thing, like a charity to help find children that have gone missing. Or it could be a bunch of bank robbers who are there to find people who have gone on the run with their money. Like, it could be anything. Like, missing people aren't always, like, you know, missing, like I just said, like, a group of professionals could be like code for a group of criminals who, you know, do bank robberies and look for missing people. As I just said, it could be, there's loads of different reasons why people could be missing and why you might want to get hold of them. So it could not be the best thing in the world. It sounds noble, but I don't know what the fuck he means. And we've seen that he in the past has had a charity that wasn't really a charity, and he's done a crowdfund for a film that's not really going to be a film. And, like, you know, I don't trust his, oh, I was doing this and I was setting this up and I was doing that until I see it and know what it is. And maybe he was, But I've looked into his story recently, and I haven't heard anything about a group of professionals that's looking for missing people. I've seen the campaign for swimming in your pants for depression. I've also saw some sort of campaign about, and this is like Rebecca Brooks in the News of the World, these campaigns. Always got to have a campaign going, haven't they? But a campaign for fighting for the kids of abuse or something. But a group of professionals looking for missing people, I didn't know about that. And it sounds like something hastily compiled and said to just cover up some weird lie.
Pete was put my way, and there has been.
So Pete was put my way. So somebody suggested to him, why don't you talk to Peter Faulding? What does he mean, Pete was put my way? Is it just because he's from this part of London and dealt with these criminals that he talks in the terms of the criminal? Because this is the sort of thing that, I'll put this geezer your way, mate. You need a fixer? I've got someone I can put your way. It sounds like that, doesn't it?
Look for missing people, and Pete was put my way.
Pete was put my way. Pete was put my way.
And there has been a little bit of audit trail between me and Pete in the past.
And there has been a little bit of audit trail between me and Pete in the past, and that's I find weird. What do you mean, a phone call? But you didn't want to say a phone call. Auditor is like you can hear. So does he mean voice messages? Or does he mean... I thought he meant like emails back and forth, on a sort of semi-professional level. Hi, my name is Jon Wedger, and I'm looking to put together a group of professionals. I'm a former police department in Scotland. Hi, I'm Peter Faulding. Well, you're through to the offices of Peter Faulding. Whilst my company is really equipped with this greatest sonar in the world, I'm not really got the time to deal with you and your bollocks. Or anything. Does he mean that? It doesn't sound like he means that. Like, why doesn't he say phone call if he means phone call? You say he did. He said he found the young man's body using cell site data. What, Peter Faulding, yeah. But then this face he does after this sort of like, gives me I'll just carry on with my body language. Unless we know whether he actually set up an organisation to look for missing people. That's the other fact that I'm unaware of. This disgust that he shows at the end. Bear in mind, I think Jon Wedger is basically narcissistic up to the point of sociopathic potentially. Like, actually, from what I've seen so far and some of the things he said, especially if that was him on that woman stream the other day, that was fucking intense. Kelly, were you here for that bit on that stream with that woman? When this man came on and she was saying the bad things to her? Were you here for that? I'll play you that if you weren't here for that in just a minute. But if that was him as well, that was awful. I think it was, and therefore I think it was sociopathic. But yeah, so I'm trying to do my body language reading. It's just fucking weird. This guy didn't like. Was it him? I don't know if it was him, but I still think it was. So I don't know. I'm putting that in the I don't know box. But I think Jon Wedger is he rings alarm bells with me. I'll say that instead, yeah. And I think when he came up against Peter Faulding in professional or whatever, it's not professional what they're doing, is it? I don't know what you call it. In whatever context he came up against him or with him or whatever, he's found him difficult to work with and difficult because Peter is also narcissistic and got a big chip on his shoulder. So I think Jon would have probably thought Jon was the big one and the special one, and Peter would have thought Peter was the special one and the special one. Is she the woman in the BH video that turned up at his door? I don't know who's turning up at whose door, but I'm not saying her name now and all that. I know you're talking about Brian Harvey's, but I don't know. Like, either you were here on our stream the other day when this woman was on her stream she'd done a reaction stream to me, and then someone came on and gave her some shit. Either you were here and you heard it, or you weren't and you weren't. I'm not going to get too distracted from this because this might be a cut to YouTube. So I'm not going to. That woman's not going to come into my, conversation. Oh yeah. So you saw it, yeah. So don't worry. So that whole thing about whether it was or wasn't him still hangs in the air, I suppose. But that goes into my decision making about his personality. So what I'm saying is that I don't think he is going to be very happy working with Peter Faulding, and I don't think Peter Faulding is going to be happy working with him. So I think personality wise, he's got this face on about it. So I don't know whether he's like, obviously the big question for me that's hanging in the air about this is, so are you in some way working clandestine operations with Peter Faulding? Like, the more people that are dodgy and working with Peter Faulding that sort of go back to this and have this sort of weird connection, the worse it gets for the sort of darker end of the conspiracy side of the Nicola Bulley stuff, or connections I can make with my, potential conspiracy criminal that's what's going on with the Nicola Bulley case. Like, what I'm saying is, are we asking, was he there? Has he got an alibi? It feels like that moment in the film where us, as Vera or Sherlock Holmes or Agatha Christie or whoever we are, Inspector Morse or whatever, we're suddenly like, oh, and there's some music happen, and then we have to go pull his record, and we have to go and check, have you got an alibi? And we have to go and quickly check out this guy, don't we? And I can't do that. I don't know what he's doing. He might have an alibi. It might be a silly idea. Flight of fancy. That's what I'm saying. It's like a film. But his connection to Peter Faulding is interesting, and like there's two worlds that my mind lives in. Obviously, one is that he's telling the truth and what he says is right and all this business. And then there's another world where I sort of think he might be involved in doing some weird shit behind the scenes. So is that why Peter Faulding's name's been forwarded to him? Do you know what I mean? What other weird shit could they be doing behind the scenes? So,
nothing big, but at some point...
Nothing big? What, little things then? Just something little then? Come on, Buttons.
There is no child porn on the internet. I hate to warn you that. There is no child porn on the internet. I checked.
Pete was put my way, and there has been a little bit of audit trail between me and Peter in the past.
Audit tra. It's almost like literature. Audio literature. Does he mean voice? Like, why would he not? Like, I've never heard that word said, and why would he say it like that? That's so weird to me. I don't know if I'm stuck on the weird point.
Way, and there has been a little bit of audit trail between me and Peter in the past. Nothing big, but
Audit tra. Almost like tra is trouble. Like, I wonder if Peter's had cause to tell him off or shout him or something. Like, nothing big. Nothing, like, he didn't have to really discipline me major. Big time. Just there's been a little bit of trouble between me and Peter in the past. Like, maybe it's that.
For missing people. And Pete was put my way, and there has been a little bit of audit trail between me.
You think he says audit trail? It doesn't. That's not even words that make sense though. So
Pete was put my way, and there has been a little bit of audit trail between. Pete was put my way, and there has been a little bit of audit trail between.
It says audit trail on the captions, but that's because captions just makes it up because can't hear what's being said. And it doesn't make sense. Why would he say that? An audit trail.
Was setting up a group of professionals to look for missing people, and Pete was put my way, and there has been a little bit of audit trail between me and Peter in the past.
Or maybe it's a term they use then, audit trail, meaning paperwork, between me and Peter in the past. About this is way before Nicola Bulley is saying. It's about when he's setting up his thing. Audit trail. An audit trail is a detailed chronological record whereby accounting records, project details and transactions, user activity or other financial data are tracked and traced. So it is a real thing. Maybe it's something they use in the police as a common phrase, and it's like the way he uses his common phrases. Accounting documentation. It's something you would have had to hear in a professional setting. Isn't it? It's a professional term. So it's also weird the way he's talking about it in terms of him and Peter. That makes it sound very super professional. And that's nice, isn't it? If he's got a super professional, above board reason for having contact with Peter, audit trail. Little nice, neat bit of paperwork between him and Peter, just, if anyone asks. Could be financial, legit above board stuff as well. So that if you were to question their relationship, then, oh yeah, of course, there is there you go. Oh, Peter got brought up. Oh, don't worry, there's the above board audit trail for me and Peter. It's just weird the way you talk about your own correspondence with someone privately about, setting up a team. You describe it as an audit trail between you and this guy, It's so weird to me, that is.
Nothing big, but
And again, he says, no, nothing big, but
at some point I was hoping to link in with him. Not now. I'm not really interested.
But at some point, I was hoping to link in with him. Does that mean he was trying to get a job on Peter's crew? I could read this. I'm tired. Basically, I'm tired. So, like, this could also just be, the way he's describing it is that he went for one of his friends said, you can do a job. Okay,
Look, not a lot. Bits of communication with Peter.
I've had bits of communication with Peter, right? Peter runs this company, it's ex-serviceman, you're down on your luck, you're broke. One of your friends works there, he could have said, why don't you come try and get a job here? Right, let me read it this way.
Because I was setting up,
you didn't get the job. So now instead of I was trying to get a job with Peter, you're going to say, I was setting up a crew myself, actually. I wanted to see him on an executive level. You're not going to, like, let's say you failed to get the job at McDonald's and now it's 10 years later. You could say, oh yeah, I did go and talk to McDonald's, but I was there on a consulting role to see if they wanted my managerial consultancy. Not I was trying to get a job and I didn't. You could say whatever you like now. So maybe his own ego, and that's where I say, he's like sneer at the end about it. He's like, about it. Like, maybe this is the fantasy bit where he recontextualizes his things for his ego. He was setting up a big company that were going to search for missing people, so he wanted to talk to Peter, of course.
Group of professionals to look for missing people, and Peter was put my way, and there has been a little bit of audit trail between me and Peter in the past. Nothing big, but
and Peter was put my way, and there was a little bit of talk. Nothing big, but like, maybe he was just trying to get a small role, a small position. Nothing big.
At some point, I was hoping to link in.
And I hope that, then that's like not the admission. Nothing big, but at some point I was hoping to sort of, get him to give me a job and maybe pay me.
Him, not now. I'm not really
interested. Not now.
Because I moved away from all that stuff.
Because I moved away from that stuff. Whatever those jobs would be, maybe.
But back then, about 2 years ago, there was, I knew a lot of people he knew, and I knew a guy that worked on his team.
And I knew a lot of people he knew, and I knew not, so he's never saying that he knew Peter directly, is he? He's always saying he knew these periphery people. But again, John has a funny, starey look on himself all the time, doesn't he? But here, this look across here, you could read it as, neuro-linguistic programming, the eyes, this and that. But I think he's aware of the camera and he's, afraid again.
And these are a lot of them ex-professionals. He's got a lot of ex-military, a lot of ex-police that work for him.
But he does keep coming over here now, which is not a good sign in terms of, lying and making up the truth and stuff. This is constructed side.
Especially, and he's set himself up
Back
with this
here.
incredible network and very well facilitated. So he had helicopter, he had dive teams, he had rib boats, he had everything. He was kitted out, ready to go.
Yeah, this is so fucked up.
People, and people. I've had not a lot, bits of communication with Peter, because I was setting up a group of professionals to look for missing people, and Peter was put my way, and there has been a little bit of audit trail between me and Peter in the past.
Do you know what occurs to me is that John loves to pretend that he's close to these criminal underworld and allude to it. Like when he did that documentary, the trailer for the documentary he wants to make, he says in it that, it's going to be great and we're going to talk to these criminals and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And he basically suggesting that he knows a lot of behind the scenes people that he can bring to the doc. Some of them might have to have their faces covered, but they can just still be on it, And it's weird to me the way he sort of won't admit that he's spoken to Peter directly. He'll say there's been an audit trail, I suppose, a series of emails or something, and he knows people in the company and he knows people associated. And 2 years ago, he was, quite busy with this sort of stuff apparently, but not now. No, not now. And I don't know. And not really spoken to the man but he was like, it's all from his own admission here. It's all from his own bringing this up. Like, the guys asked him about Nicola Bulley, and he said some interesting fucking stuff about Nicola Bulley. Like, that even in my tired state now, I can't even remember. What did he say about she would smell? Oh yeah, and it was things went wrong and they found her. He said things went wrong and they found her. So is it possible that Nicola Bulley's kidnap was, or like, and subsequent murder was something going wrong? You know, the job went wrong. That's something that I've if I want to factor in anything he said today about my truth of Nicola Bulley that I believe, then him saying things went wrong is something that just sticks out really weird. Things went wrong and they found her. Like, what went wrong for them to find her? Surely that was the moment, out of all the hoping and guessing and wondering, you know, and all that, at that moment, most people, when they found her, felt, oh, at least something's gone right. You know, at least they found her now, because they all wanted to know, like, whether they had hopes for this or that. But that was a moment where people thought, you know, this has gone better than. What are you chuffers saying? The networks bit was fucking weird, yeah. Networks, yeah. You know. Yeah, Wedger used to work the dive team in London, didn't he? Well, do you know what? He described the job. I watched a documentary, a podcast, and I didn't pick out the moments, but this was one of the moments. He said, when I worked on the rivers and the boats, this was an old shore, was it shore? Anyway, he said it was like a docks in it, like, you know, it was an easy, cushy job, and it was like working on the docks. And like, something else occurred to me is that he managed to shift his way through the police ranks into what he always described as a job he wanted, a good position, always along the way being like potentially difficult and irritating for the police themselves. You know, like, he was going to say this or do that, and like, you know, he had lots of kids to look after, so he needed an easy position. Well, that doesn't, you know, so what? Like, unless you've done something to earn or warrant this special shift and this, you know, this good move. At one point he said this was a job loads of people wanted. So how did he get bumped to the top of the queue? You know, like, what back did he scratch and how? And the canal boat stuff and the pedo stuff, I heard about that, yeah, that he was saying. But yeah, the idea that having, like, you know, connection to criminality and the access point, the port, the docks, you know, it's all similar to the Peter Faulding and the Ernie Bulley connections. Like, you know, when docks are involved, Ernie Bulley and his papers and his company and his lorries, Peter Faulding and his bully boys and stuff, you know, these people all start to come into it, don't they? The children's aspect, well, as I've said a number of times, if you're prepared to do some of the worst things to animals, like, then there's nothing off the cards, is there? So Peter Faulding and people like he protected in Huntington, like the people he protected in Huntington Life Sciences, like, some of those people that work in that place might seem like just normal, nice people. Like, they might have got a degree in science, animal welfare or something, and then they go to work and then they do some fucking horrific shit, like Hannibal Lecter level shit, don't they? And then they come home and then they're all right, nice people again, but they might just be psychotic. So when it comes to all these other crimes relating to children, I'm still of the opinion, I think that, like, let's get this straight, right? I think there are people that abuse children and they do it for their own pleasure, and some of them are like, there's like paedophiles who are like whatever's wrong in their head or whatever you'd say, like, they want to have sex with children, and they're just like, you know, random people out there who want to have sex with kids, right? So there's that group of pedos. The sort of people who get caught on those nonce stings, do you know what I mean? Like, why were you texting this girl and all that, you know, normal sort of pedos, you know, run-of-the-mill pedos. And then I think there's another level of, like, sort of organised crime pedos, which are like those people, but with, like, nasty criminal, maybe some of them are smarter, those people who engage in the next level up of trading in it and stuff like that, yeah? In the kids, in the products that they make and all that stuff. But there's also a level like Brian Harvey encountered, I think. My stupid hat in my hair. Where if you're running any sort of like high-end prostitution ring, then you're going to have customers who want young boys or girls for their, that's part of the prostitution thing, isn't it? The vices. So you're going to have some cause for the supply and demand of supplying them, and you're not yourself going to be cared to be a pedo. Like you probably have to just like switch off your own. Like you're already a bad person anyway, aren't you? Because you're like involved in like running a prostitution ring or whatever, like pimping out people and all that business. So like the ethics and and obviously some of those bad people that do that, like you might be thinking of glamorous London parties and like Ghislaine Maxwell's, but you might also be thinking of like horrible, gritty, Albanian, organised criminals. It might not be Prince Andrew's luxury flat. It might be some horrible bedsit with someone guarding the, some rough chaps guarding the sofa or whatever. Like so, in that way, like children are going to get brought in. And my point. So what I'm saying is, when Brian Harvey goes in the club and there's like famous people and like in the Epstein style of things, they will use the children so that they will get photographs or evidence of someone doing something really bad and criminal, and then they'll use it against them and blackmail them with it. And then there'll be people that just want to have, the champagne, the cocaine, the prostitutes, and I don't want the old smelly prostitutes. I want the youngest, nicest prostitutes or whatever. And then like those people will end up like the next day with like photographs on their desk of them with like a 14-year-old or whatever, and be like, "We've got you now," like by the criminals. Yeah, that will happen. As well as some of them won't end up with those pictures because they're friends with the criminals and they just had a prostitute party or whatever. So I'm sure that Brian has probably been exposed, in my opinion, Brian has been exposed to an area of that showbiz lifestyle where he's seen that. But the idea that like it's their end and goal, like that the Satanists just want to have sex with kids and like, that's their goal. I don't believe that myself. Like, I think that there's a bunch of people who see children and child racketeering and trafficking and all that as a commodity and a side thing. And like maybe at a party with some cocaine and some kids being passed around, they might have sex with one, but they're not out there sort of going around schools like, drooling at the kids in the schools. Like they're not actual like dyed in the wool in their bones paedophiles. They just engage in paedophilia like they engage in other illicit and corrupt activities sometimes, yeah. Whereas I suppose what the worst one is someone that crosses over in those boundaries and like is the worst kind of horrible monster and also engaged in criminal activity and connections and stuff like that. There are going to be people who are dyed in the wool serious paedophiles who have ended up with the connections and whatever. I don't know. Like the other thing that worries me is like there are probably only sort of two different kinds of people that work in the care homes, aren't there? Like there's the good ones and the bad ones. Like I had a friend who worked forensics on the computers, and they ended up doing in the police. They weren't a police person, they weren't. They were an IT person, but they ended up doing work in the police where they had to look at the bad pictures. Well, they had to go in the computers and get whatever's on the computers out. And obviously, like, they're the computers from the paedophiles, so they're full of bad pictures. And like that was horrible for them, and they said it was a horrible thing. And like it affected them in a bad way. So I can understand that there are good people who do a job because they think it's the right thing to do, and then it affects them. But other people might choose to do that job so they can get loads of bad pictures. Do you know what I mean? And I worry with Jon Wedger that he said in one of the interviews, and I'd have to find the clip, but I worry that he said that one of the reasons he said he might have got the sack, but he ended up getting a pension, and about misuse of computers and stuff. And I was thinking, well, the stuff that's on your files on those computers, isn't that really fucking, serious business? I wonder what that misuse equals and what happened there. And I worry about him getting shifted around the different places as well, and what he saw or didn't see and how. And I just think there's like what he tells us, and then there's the truth. I think there's a different story to the way he spins it. So yeah. Oh yeah, the show next Friday is going to be interesting. Channel 5. Yeah, I need to make sure I've got that on my pin board. Obviously, what I'll do is I'll be watching it live on here, but I won't react to it live. What I'll do is I'll just record it live while it happens, and then I'll upload it to Sentries so I can watch it and react to it live on the stream immediately following by pausing it and messing about, in case Channel 5 delete it. So instead of streaming and recording at the same time and being silent because I'm recording, I'll just watch it live, record it, and then we'll just immediately react to it afterwards. My prediction for it is that they're going to say basically nothing new for, like, I don't know how long it's going to last, but for a great chunk of it, I mean, they'll go over it now and they'll have experts to tell you about, what happened and the inquest, and, I don't think we'll learn much new from any of that. It's just they'll give the overview for the audience. Like, basically, they've got all the footage they shot before, they've got whatever they've got from the inquest, they can fill time for about 40 minutes. So that's what most of it will be. And we won't learn anything new. And then there will be the Paul Ansel extras. And I don't know, they'll have... they'll have looked over that, and the producers will have their own ideas. So if the producers think Paul's guilty and they want to make him look guilty, they can throw in extras that we didn't see that make him look bad. Or if they think he didn't cry enough, or whatever the response was from the audience, they can put those extras in to make him look like he cried more. My guess is it'll be extras of him crying. That's my guess. And these are things we cut out because they were too emotional at the time. But now that we know that she's dead, we can say it. I was so scared that she's dead, and you can have him crying and stuff because he never cried before. But what I will be able to do, obviously, is react to and analyse the extras we get from the Paul Ansel interview. And really, if they've got any... Like, what annoys me about these companies is the extras. Well, the extras. You did a shoot with him, so you've got like a full day. You've got from the moment you sat down and said, okay, cameras roll, to the moment you said cut. You've got all of that, and you're not going to show us all of that. Like the unedited interview, just the raw footage. No, we're never going to get to see that, which is a shame because there's a lot on that you could read into. But what's Seb saying? I'm trying to keep up with the chat there. The messages, the speak pipe messages are 30 seconds long, I think, or whatever they're long. There's a time limit on each message, like it'll cut off after a little bit. I don't know how long it is, but if you find you reach the time limit, then just do another message straight after and carry on. What's a quango? I can't remember. We used to have those in the 90s. They were something to do with the government. They were inquiries into inquiries, weren't they? A quango. I'll tell you what was interesting about what he was doing as well, from what I saw on his interviews, or what I've been watching so far, was that he said that was it. In the police, when he got into the unit looking into the crimes, he went to the criminals themselves and took their testimony, and this has never been done before, and it was almost, he didn't want to say it was revolutionary, but revolutionary. And that was the reason it was problematic to me, was because he was saying that the people who had normally been considered not valid evidence by the legal system, quite rightly, because they were drug addicts and potentially might just say things for different reasons. Not that every drug addict is unbelievable, but you know, like you're saying you're going to go into these places and develop testimony from people who are vulnerable and like unreliable, and like there were so many different reasons why his approach was, from a sort of criminology perspective, basically flawed. I wondered how far down a weird path he'd been led in the early stages, and what his peers thought of him and his behaviour. Like, I don't think he'd get into the Masons either. I don't think he's got enough money. Or maybe he spent all his money on the Masons. He said he spent all his money on having these 4 kids. And that was a strange one as well, because 2 of the kids weren't really his, but he was able to keep them and raise them. Yeah, I get loads of weird vibes about Jon Wedger, don't I? But the one I was most... that was just a random find then. Nicola Bulley's death led us to him talking about Peter Faulding. Apparently he's got a connect with Peter Faulding 2 years ago. What was Peter Faulding doing 2 years ago? And what was Jon Wedger doing? Jon Wedger. Jon Wedger was live. I'll tell you what, I don't want to meet Jon Wedger or Peter Faulding in a fucking dark alleyway, thank you very much. Especially not Jon Wedger, I find him very... 2023. I'm looking for like 2022. It's just after lockdown I'm looking for, isn't it? He's posting a lot here actually about the pants thing, isn't he? 2021. This is him in 2021. I stand with Jon Wedger. And he's been on the Sean Atwood show. Looking fucking scary and creepy. And he's got a big check. Those cost money to buy, to give out. It's a knife charity. He gave some money to a knife charity. This is an hour long.
That's it. Right, hi everyone. Sorry about that. I'll just give it a few minutes. As you can see, London.
I mean, I don't want to live in the city centre myself. Like, I'm not... I like the space and the rural countryside, but it's a nice position to be in, isn't it? Like, London itself is expensive, I know, and well, you know, all sorts of people live in London, don't they? But to be on the roof in your building like this, I'd be up there bunning a zoot, thinking how fucking cool this was, living in London like that, being able to see the skyline. Yeah.
Christmas 2021 is wet, and my cup of tea is filling up with water. It's diluted. So let's just start off.
This is Christmas again. 24th of December 2021. He has a bad time around Christmas, doesn't he? He's done an hour long on the roof.
And he got hit with terrible illness, some of it related to childhood abuse.
I hope he's not thinking of jumping off.
So, and the one thing, we always work with the police, so whenever we get information, share with the police. Now, I want to come on to why we do that, because there's a lot of people that are anti-police. I'm not anti-police, I've never been anti-police.
What I want to know is he trying to do a campaign to look for missing people and put together a team? You know, is this man contacting Peter Faulding at this time for good reason?
I don't like corruption, and I make that quite clear, right? It shouldn't be covering things up. So that was from an insider, all right? And it made a lot of sense to me.
Why does he always look so fucking wired?
Is he right? Who knows? Which is just behind us here, and this has been organised by...
This is 2019, before lockdown.
By our man, going live.
So it's too long ago. But yeah, I never got the idea that he was trying to put together a team of people to search for missing people. Like, missing people has never really been a major feature of his content, has it? Or his campaigns?
All right, look, we are going live. I do apologise because I've got no microphone, so you might not hear me, but it's the 7th of August, and we're outside Parliament. We've had an incredible turnout. of various survivor groups. Look, we've got their badges. We got people come from Scotland, people come from the north of England, the middle of England. We've got people that have come from the West Country, and I do apologise, but we're just going to go round. Penny, I'm just going live, and how do we got? Look, the audio is very, very bad.
Right,
So anyway.
That's a good way to start it. It's not that bad, actually.
Hey, Alan's turned up. I've not got my mic, but you know, back again. We're all here. We've had a huge turnout today, Al.
We have, yeah. It's a good turnout for the guys, and you know, good congratulations to everybody for turning out, and a good show. Yeah, abuse support.
Right, we're going to just wander around and just.
Did he just say abuse is support?
So anyway, Alan's turned up. I've not got my mic, but you know, back again. Right.
Support.
Today, Al.
We have, yeah. It's a good turnout for the guys, and you know, good congratulations to everybody for turning out, and a good show. Yeah, abuse support.
Right, we're going to just wander around and just get a few bits and pieces, see who's here. Right. Oh, look, Jan. Hello, Jan.
Yes.
Right, here we go. Sue. Look, we got Jan's watching.
Hi, Jan.
But we've got sorry, I haven't got my mic, so we're gonna have to shout into it, and I've not got sort of any of the usual add-ons. But Sue's here.
Hi.
From Beach Home.
Thanks for supporting us.
Oh, Adam, God bless you. Let's have a wander around. Hello, how are you? All right. Oh, lovely to see everyone here. Oh.
We tried to do prayer today.
Look,
We put a lot out, we did.
yeah. We're going live, look, see outside
great.
Parliament. So,
Oh, lovely.
hey. So I'm just going to wander around and just get everyone to say hello.
Oh, it's lovely.
How are
It's
you?
lovely to see you.
Very lovely to see you. Oh,
I'm actually Sonia, and I've been texting you. I'm supposed to call you.
oh yeah, of course.
I'm so sorry.
Well, Sonia, don't worry. I'm just going to do I'll come back to you in a second. Fiona, look, we're going live. I don't know if you want to go on this.
Of course I do.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Look, we got Fiona's here. Sorry about that. The microphone isn't very good, but
Fighting for justice for our children. We need to be heard. Our voices need to be heard.
let's have a little look at the sign. It might
Yeah.
come up backwards.
It's come up backwards.
Because where the cameras is.
Coming up.
There we go.
Great.
And look, we got to say hello to this guy. It's Sandy. Look,
How we doing, warriors?
he's from up the road, as we say. Up the road.
I know there'll be many of my brothers and sisters from Couriers Orphan Homes listening. Guys, we told you we'd come to London. We'd let our voices be heard. This is the start of better things to come for us. We are uniting with so many groups, guys. Stick with us. Keep giving us that support. The last night,
Well, maybe he contacted Peter Faulding for money. You know, for one of his campaigns. No, what he said was too weird. It didn't fit right, did it? You think he's probably said something else about Nicola Bulley as well? That's the only specific clip I found of him on the search for Jon Wedger, Nicola Bulley. And obviously the problem with, like, I'm just going to get a million things come up with Nicola Bulley, but not Jon Wedger. When you start searching with Nicola Bulley in it, like, you get swamped with all this, don't you? And it's surprising, social media, like, the first social media I want to get is Jizzy True Crime's fake CCTV. It was all the, you know, maybe he talks about it in this a year ago, I don't know. I'm going to have to go through and listen to his podcasts, obviously, and pick out the bits, like I said. He's going to say the same thing over and over again, which is going to be annoying, but... It's bringing up Harsh now, because I searched for him the other day, didn't I? I know it was fucking annoying. Enough of that. Yeah, did you say the network only works with the network? I know you, like, think about you are into more of the conspiracy stuff or the Mason stuff, or whatever, right? I think to me it sounds a little bit like Jon Wedger, like the stuff before the Nicola Bulley case. It's like he's tried to get close with Peter, and Peter's not really wanted his help, or not really. But I'm also thinking that he could be a sort of couple of steps away from Peter or down from Peter, and so he might have done some stuff, work with like the group, but not, do you get to talk to Peter direct? Do you need to? If a mate of yours has asked you to do a bit of work on the side for for a little bit of a thing, like, I don't know, but like I said, like, worry on the table number one is that he is connected, and he was even there, in some way, part of some scheme. Worry on the table number two is that he wasn't connected with Nicola Bulley in any way, but he's also connected in some sort of scheme behind the scenes with Peter Faulding to do other weird shit. Child-based shit. They're just like flights of fancy ideas, aren't they? Just weird ideas. Or just as an outsider, he's just trying to muddy the waters and cover things up and like make things difficult. It's weird, right? Because I thought, and I might be wrong in thinking this, I thought it was natural to assume that Luke said, since talking to Peter Faulding, he was going to get some more guests on, because Peter's got lots of friends who are going to be good to talk to. And then the first one that turns up is this guy. Like, I thought that was a natural, Peter Faulding's done podcasts, this guy's done podcasts, he's a regular podcast guest on different things. Peter Faulding might have his number. He might have said, "Oh, here, Luke, I know this guy's number out of my phone. Why don't you call him? He won't mind being on a podcast. I'll text him and tell him that you've got a podcast." And there's your first one. I'd have thought that would be natural. Like, if not him, someone else. But because he's used to working the police and this and that and the connections, I'd have thought, well, he might have a connection with Peter Faulding then. And now he's told publicly that he's got an audit trail with Peter Faulding 2 years ago. That's a strange one. Yeah, the thing is, right, 22 does not work. With scripting, is that we all tell scripts, like we all create scripts. Like if you tell the story of your life on podcasts, the first time you tell it, you might be a bit free and ranging, but over the time you tell it, you would refine it and become natural at telling it. And there's probably some stories you can tell that are stories from your life that are not scripted, they're real life, but you tell them as if, you tell the same story the same way over and over again, because you've learned where the beats are and where the moment, and the bit where you pause and the bit where people laugh, and you refine your own speech. So the more you tell a story, even if it's true, the more you create that scripting and whatever in your own brain. Like, so that's why after several podcasts, he's now got that down. Tell me about what it was like to do this. Okay, yeah, so this was the story that was cool on that podcast. This was the bit where they clipped and it was a good one. Like he's going to tell similar stories and in the same sort of way, but. And as for Luke, like, being used in a GIMP potentially, however, what you've got to consider is that he's actually an adult with his own channel who's worked in care homes with children, and he's got a story on his channel about holding children down in care homes. So, he's quite potentially not just a naive, innocent, vulnerable person. Like, he could just be a junior Wedger. Like, part of the, like, if you want to become a roof tiler, then you start out as a roofer junior Joey, and like you're one of the younger people on the squad, so like you're the younger one, the gimp, and you have to go around with the bucket and pick stuff up, but you've still got a shovel and you can still mix up the concrete and get on the roof and move around with the tiles. And then like after a few months and a year or two, you move up the ladder literally in the ranks and you become a roofer, don't you? And like, if you're a junior hairdresser, you're on the salon floor, you've got a sweeping brush, you might get treated like the lowest one, go and get the sandwiches, but eventually you get to cut some hair. So, you know, if you're situated with these people and you're in position with them and they're on your podcast and using you to get their voice out, and, you know, you're friendly enough with, you know what's going on there. Like, you choose to become friends with and associate with people who you think are worth associating with. Luke's already outwardly stated his fascination with the what's his name, Andrew Tate nonsense. So Luke's targeted these people as much as they've targeted him in some ways. Would you not think? Like, he's got a free choice and a free like ability to research things. Like, you think he's way out of his depth, you do, but like, he could be diving in at the deep end because that's where he wants to be. You know, if you're a chef and Gordon Ramsay comes knocking, you might be out of your depth if you don't know your pressed burgers from your Citron Presse, but like, so what? You'd still jump in, wouldn't you? Oh yeah, Faulding's past is extensive, isn't it? Like, did you Leaked Wisdom? You obviously know that he was involved in the removal of protesters from Huntington Life Sciences, and potentially, here's another Brian Harvey connection with Peter Faulding. Brian Harvey said, or one of the men said, that they were taken to the man that was trying to put Brian Harvey off the scent, that was like talking rubbish. But they said there was like a block of flats. Or where did I watch this? You see my fucking brain now. There's a block of flats next to the Parliament. It's got a name. It's got a funny name. This like house. It's called Something House. And apparently they ordered prostitutes to this Something House, and it all went on there. And Peter Faulding, his private security aspect of, not private security, but protester removal. He put on his website, he'd done protester removal at Westminster, and that includes that area. Like, it doesn't just mean protesters just stop oil outside the Parliament. You know, it could mean other stuff. And other police people who do, like, there's a network of police people who work off the grid as they're not police. So they work daily as police people, and then sometimes they might get an extra job on the side doing like security guard work or something, yeah, and they're good at it because they're police people in the day. Like, and that can also be private bodyguarding for posh people. And in London, they've got a special security group of the police that police and privately protect Westminster and the Royals and people like that. And Peter Faulding's worked adjacent to that, at least with his protester removal company in London. So like, Peter Faulding is like, in my opinion, you've got someone at the top of the big pharma ladder doing animal testing, all sorts of horrible stuff. You've got a group of people at the top of that. They're making fucking loads of money, and they're horrible, horrible people. And they'd lobby the government to make sure that you can keep animal testing going, wouldn't they? And, you know, they built their businesses on shit like that. They had to see it firsthand and say, right, order more puppies. You know, and like these sort of people. And when they're having their debauched parties, or they're they might be Masons or whatever, like, yeah, they'll get the cocaine out, yeah, they might have a go on a child, but I don't think they're sort of waking up in the morning and being like, right, let's open up Pedos Monthly and have a look at all the latest pedo news. And like, it's just like a thing they do, along with every other horrible thing they do for fun, like debauched fun, like whether it be hunting or, you know, whatever, like watching Coldplay. They probably listen to Coldplay. So the Peter Fauldings of this world, that's what I'm trying to say. The Peter Fauldings of this world, like, they might want to be in that club, but they're not in that club. What they are is they're like facilitators and fixers, and they're like, you know, an attack dog or a private protester, and they get invited to some things, but you know what I mean? They're like they provide a private policing sort of like legitimate gang aspect of it. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think Peter Faulding gets invited to that top echelon. You know, I don't think he he knows the names of the people that he's really protecting, if you know what I mean. Not the real top echelon. Right, I'm going to have to go now because it's time for takeaway. You be good, and if you can't be good, you notice.